men that they'll seek
I
out
think this is.
men who they would have at one point identified as the last guy on earth they want to be with, but they know who they are in that relationship. It's kind of a fractal. It's kind of a repeating fractal. They know who they are. And then it often leads to both victimization and perpetration. Because now they're an adult acting under the same circumstances. But I also wonder whether, and this is where again, I'm just sort of speculating on what actually occurs. There's no moment like of the victims of the witch trials or anything else that said, your family shall be cursed forever. There's no declaration of a family curse in that way.
Well, that could be. That's the thing. So how do you specialize in dealing with trials? The first thing that the producers, and I want to thank the producers on the Triton board for letting the spirits and letting the stories kind of unfold naturally and not kind of telling us what to say. We go in, we didn't know, we were expecting one thing and completely turned into something completely different. And we looked at the possibilities, because I deal with the Salem witch trials and the curses associated with the Salem witch trials, which include the Dallas Corey supposedly cursing Salem and St. George Courtland. There's one that's being questioned at those who basically cursed the leper. I'm talking about curses my whole life, and I do think that a curse could happen if something so tragic, if injustice is done, until it's undone, it's something that's going to affect the family. So the thing is, though, there are no ties that I can find at the family. We thought that perhaps there was ties to the Salem witch trial. And I want to speak to the Triton family, the bad guys, but I cannot connect Lizzie to the Putnam. So we're going to rule that out, at least for the show. But who knows, there may be a link that I haven't uncovered yet. But what I do think is if there is like a family curse, it's related to innocent Cornell Borden and that whole era with Sarah Earle. So I think it keeps pointing to that, and also the family genealogy points to that situation of the mother being murdered by her son and that being accused injustice.
Yeah. Could it be that your family, including your relative in California of which you spoke, could it be that your family is cursed by a higher than average IQ and all that comes along with it?
That's the theory of the producer as well. If you look at all the authors and professors at universities and that sort of thing, so that could be the first as well. And if you look at our list of a few lectures, she actually is very intelligent. It's intelligent and for a woman of the time. And people have argued that maybe she was autistic or that she had mental disorder. But she had signs of indication or even I do think that that is a curse. And if you look at our line, all of us are extremely intelligent.
Well, I mean, there could be bipolarity. And that Lindsay Borden, like a lot of really intelligent people, who may have had some other things that were going undiagnosed because people weren't diagnosed for them, and instead came up with all sorts of, otherworldly kind of explanations of why they behave a particular way. And we see this even today in the mental illness in Islam. It's not handled very well. It's just some of the people who end up becoming terrorists are really just psychos. They were very unbalanced people, and they were manipulated into doing something, not because they were caught by religious fervor, but because the people that lured them into doing it didn't know what they were doing. And I think that this could be a case here where in the 19th century, there weren't a lot of prospects for a very intelligent woman to break out of the framework of marrying well. And maybe she was just looking at her life as being one of perpetual despair, locked in a hot house, over which she had very little control, and she snapped. She just decided, that's it. Today's the day, I'm not taking it anymore.
I've even gone down the route. When I first started looking into the case, I actually wrote an article for an LGBT publication with the idea that maybe Lizzie Borden was a lesbian, and that was why she snapped, because she was not able to express who she was as as a lesbian woman. And the more I dug deeper into that, there's no indication to support that she was in fact a lesbian. So there's a lot of speculation. But getting back to the bipolar, like being her bipolar, I don't think if you look at her life before and after, there are no signs whatsoever of mania or
euphoria.
The fact that there have been moments she did still. So she may have been a klepto, but. And I think that is one of the symptoms of being bipolar. But I don't think that she had any symptoms of being bipolar. However, she was given morphine during the trial, and she may have had an addiction problem and was kind of hid it, which is very common among alcoholics. And drug addicts to hide their addiction. So that could have been the curse with her. But I think that if you look at it from a paranormal perspective, and getting back to the dream that I had before, it was Diablo did it. And I have, having talked to people, including myself, there's almost like a proclivity to being taken over by an attachment. And I know that sounds really far-fetched for someone that, like if you're coast to coast, it's not that far-fetched. But almost like a shadow figure, like an attachment that takes over your body, almost to the point where you're like that you lose, like you're possessed, but it mimics the possession. And I've seen that. I've met a lot of people who I'm related to that kind of come out of the woodwork, and it kind of seems to be a recurring theme. And now I know, and we saw this unfold on the Curse of Lizzie Borden, that I was able to channel, and I see, but I think that in some cases we may have the abilities. I guess that's my whole point, that are paranormal.
Okay. So I'll get back to that because I have a question I want to get to about the descendants of the Borden family. But you've heard the expression, perhaps, that depression is anger turned inward. And that if she were, let's say she wasn't bipolar, but she was depressed, and there's no light at the end of that very dark tunnel for a woman of her age with no prospects, or however one wants to look at it. I'm not defending the system. That depression is just this anger that she has that can finally just explode. And for whatever reason, it could be the smallest of a trigger, right? I mean, like if you lose a cap on a tooth, it wasn't very likely what you had to eat that day. It's what you had to eat a month ago. It's just like that day is the one that finally is the last day. But this is some sort of small event, some comment that was made, and that was the fire that lit the fuse. And it was just packed in there, and then it just exploded in kind of a rage incident. And maybe she really didn't remember that she had done it, and maybe she really did think that she was innocent, and that she just quite simply just had some sort of out of body experience. And I don't even mean that in a paranormal sense. She just simply just kind of flipped out. Kind of makes sense that way.
Yeah, so my argument from the beginning has always been that there was a disassociated. So out of all the potential, like modern day, using a modern day lens for disorders, there are signs of a disassociated disorder. So she would have had a psychotic break where she would have flipped out. And again, talking to her in the afterlife, she doesn't take a responsibility for the murders, and I really don't think that she didn't think she committed the murders. So what does that mean? That means she wasn't there mentally when that took place. Right. She in fact committed the murders. So if there was a disorder, I would say it was dissociative disorder. Depression, to me, if you look at the idea of depression, I would say that she would have killed herself maybe later in life, because her life was horrible after the trial. So she was truly clinically depressed. That it would have it would have taken a different form, and she wouldn't have. She probably wouldn't have stuck it out. So I think that I don't see her. And again, I mean, in that household, I probably would be depressed too. I would probably want to get out of that house based on what I could. So plus the fact that she had a lot of creativity. She loved theater. She loved the arts, and she wasn't really able to express that side. And she had moments of that when she went overseas, and she just came back, and she's like, what am I going to do? I'm going to live my life and not have that. So, yeah, I mean, that makes complete sense in the end, but I also think that people in that state, there's just no way she could have committed that. It was an overkill. It was severe overkill with a 5'4" woman taking a hatchet and killing her stepmother and father with that brutality.
But I think that's where criminologists would say that's exactly the indicator, that it was somebody with having, explosive rage, not somebody who was just trying to end somebody else's life so that they could get money.
The money.
Or,
yeah.
That it just really, this was something that was bubbling up deeply from within. Well, we'll be coming up to the top of the hour, and we'll do phones on the way. When we return to the subject, Sam, I want to ask you about the descendants. We've talked a lot about the ancestors of Lizzie Borden and yours, and Lizzie Borden and that day, and that, as you just said, she kind of led sort of an awful life in a lot of ways afterwards. But what about the other Borden descendants? Does the curse continue? That's what we'll explore and take your calls. We'll give you the numbers next. And you can join the conversation on Coast to Coast AM. This is the Empire. Hey, it's Dean Sharp. With energy costs rising and temps getting warmer and electric vehicles here to stay, I can't believe how many homes still don't have solar. Now, granted, there's a lot of misinformation out there, so my solar company, Sunlight, asked me to clear some of it up. First, solar doesn't cost you money. It saves you money. A lot of money. Second, it doesn't matter where your panels are made. What matters is who makes them. And finally, you hear about some system out there for $29.95, but that is not what is going to end up on your home. It means something to me that all the partners at Sunlux left top-tier positions at other solar companies. Why? To do solar better. It's why Sunlux is an LG and Tesla Platinum contractor. The best systems, the best battery solutions, the best service, the best warranty, and a solar company who is straight with you from day one. Hey, it's time for solar. Get started today at sunlux.com. That's sunlux.com, sunlux.com. CSLB 1008374.
You think we've got all the answers? Well, we've got news for you, Chief. No, seriously, we've got news right now. Fire check lines to watch. Yeah.
What's burning in the kitchen is my mom's cooking show.
Did your mommy and dad, you said you put the shoes in the oven, just to dry out
in the winter, and then they forgot they were on. They were in the oven and everything. And my mom used to serve them.
Yeah. Here we go. Jersey cold winter. Yeah. It's the Tim Conway Jr. Show.
Weeknight to 6
on KFI.
But anyway, the helicopter just flew over us and shined the light in.
And I can't tell by the helicopter who it is.
Did it say on Twitter who it was? No, they didn't tweet about it.
Tim Lynn said it was me.
Oh, it's Tim?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought it was. Yeah.
Tim Lynn takes time out to flash his friends.
The Tim Conway Jr. Show.
Weeknight to 6
on KFI.
Like an awkward 8th grade buggy dance. So tennis dancing thing didn't happen. No, it really happened. You sold out. Look, if somebody asked you to dance, you dance.
John and Ken, weekdays 2 to 6 on KFI. KOSCHD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County. Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Upcoming release. I'm Brian Berman from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Former President Bill Clinton may be released from the hospital this weekend. Clinton has been at UC Irvine Medical Center since Tuesday because of an infection. He's getting IV antibiotics at the hospital.
I've been exchanging calls. He seems to be, God willing, doing well.
President Biden says Clinton is in good spirits and he's expected to be sent home soon. Health officials in Orange County say people should get their annual flu shot in addition to the COVID-19 vaccine. The OC Healthcare Agency says it's possible for people to get both viruses now that flu season has started. But the good news is COVID numbers are trending down. COVID-19 vaccine mandates for airport workers could cause big problems for people traveling this holiday weekend. The TSA has set a November 22nd deadline for agents to be fully vaccinated.
The agency reporting a staggering 40% haven't received a single dose. The TSA now developing contingency plans, but remaining hopeful, telling ABC News we anticipate that the vast majority of TSA employees will get vaccinated.
ABC's Victor Okendo says several airlines, including American and JetBlue, have similar vaccination deadlines around the holidays. Moderna and Johnson & Johnson are one step closer to having their COVID-19 vaccine booster shots approved. An FDA advisory panel says people 18 and older should get the booster at least 2 months after getting the first shot. But Dr. Penny Heaton with Janssen Research and Development at Johnson & Johnson says the booster is still effective if people get it later.
Regardless of the timing, when we get the booster response, we see increased antibodies against all the variants that we have tested.
The booster shots will now be considered by the FDA and the CDC. 3 deputies have been shot in Houston, Texas. Assistant Chief James Jones says one deputy was killed. He says the Harris County Constable deputies were working an extra shift at a bar when they heard something going on outside.
We believe they were ambushed, shot from behind. Was a suspect with a rifle. 3 constables were shot. We do not know at this time if they were able to return fire or not.
One person was arrested, but police say they're not sure if he's the shooter or just a witness. One of the hurt deputy constables was shot in the back. The other one was shot in the foot. SoCal weather from KFI. Low clouds and fog, then partly cloudy by the coast in the afternoon. Mid to upper 60s at the beaches, low to mid 70s in Metro LA and OC. Mid 70s to low 80s in the inland valleys, and mid 70s to low 80s in the Inland Empire. Right now it's 55 degrees in Sherman Oaks, 57 in Culver City, 54 in Brea, and 54 in Irvine. We lead local. From the KFI 24-hour newsroom, I'm Brian Bruman.
Right now in South LA on the 110 southbound at Vernon Avenue, we've got a stalled vehicle over here. This car is blocking the 2 middle lanes. Be cautious as you drive through. Also in Diamond Bar on the 57 northbound at Diamond Bar Boulevard, there's a disabled vehicle over here also, and this one is blocking the right lane. Moving on over in Boyle Heights on the 60 westbound at the 5, there's a crash over here, and right now the 2 right lanes are blocked but not causing any severe delays. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Josiah Collins.
Has COVID-19 made it hard to pay your rent or utilities? Are you worried about eviction? Get the help you need now. The California COVID-19 Rent Relief Program covers 100% of your unpaid rent and utilities to help you remain in your home. Apply for rent relief now and let your landlord know you've applied so you can avoid eviction. The application is fast and you won't be asked about citizenship. Apply today at housingisKey.com or call 833-430-2122. Sponsored by the state of California.
San Manuel Casino is changing its name and changing the game. San Manuel Casino is now Yamava Resort and Casino at San Manuel, with 2 new casino floors, now with over 6,500 slots, the most in the West. A new high limit room for 5 elevated gaming experiences, new luxury retail shops, restaurants and bars, and even more thrills to come. Experience a level of thrill that California has never seen before. San Manuel Casino is now Yamava Resort and Casino at San Manuel. Details at Yamava.com. Must be 21. Please gamble responsibly.
Is finding the right candidate slowing you down? Cut straight to You're Hired with Indeed. Their hiring platform makes it easy to attract, screen, and interview candidates all in the same place. To find your next great hire, visit Indeed.com/credit.
I suggest you take a hard look at the interest rates you're paying on your credit cards, car loans, or anything else. With today's low mortgage rates and rising home values, why not refinance with Owning? Pull some cash out of your home and take control of high-interest debt. Call Owning at 8332-OWNING or log on to owning.com. In minutes at no cost or obligation, our experienced agents can tell you how much money you have sitting in your house. Then refinance at today's 30-year fixed, 2.5% rate, 2.731 APR. And use some of that low-interest money to pay off debts, do things around the house, or for anything you want. Your house may be your piggy bank.
NMLS 2611, licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation in the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. Subject to credit approval for qualified borrowers. Call 833-303-2161 for terms and conditions. Equal housing lender.
Call Owning at 8332-OWNING or log on to owning.com. That's 8332-OWNING or go to owning.com.
Contractor license 1023790.
Kenny, I heard Gettle Air Conditioning has an irresistible offer for everyone out in Radio Land.
We do, Zach, we do.
Well, tell me about it. Rejuvenation. But the summer's about over.
I know. That's why the time is now.
You're going to have to explain that.
If you have electric heat, your heater is just your air conditioner running backwards all winter.
You're saying it needs some refreshment?
Yes, and if you have gas heat, now is the time to make sure your AC is in tip-top shape and restored to factory specs so that you can turn it on with confidence when the desert heat returns in a couple of months.
Rejuvenation.
Rejuvenation.
How much?
Just $129.
That's a great deal.
Great deals are what I'm known for, Zach.
Really? I thought you was mostly known for having a dog named Sadie.
Well, that's it.
Gettle. G-O-E-T-T-L.
Sadie said to say hello, by the way.
Join City of Hope's Walk for Hope on Sunday, November 7th. Register and fundraise at walkforhope.org to support City of Hope's Women's Cancers Program. Cancer doesn't stop, and neither does City of Hope. Register today at walkforhope.org.
Good Rising. The Good Risings podcast is a collection of 6 mini-shows curated to give you a daily shot of inspiration, motivation, humor, relationship advice, and even astrology. You can choose to listen to one or all of the daily Good Risings offerings available on our feed. It's the perfect daily practice for anyone looking to lead a more intentional, mindful, and inspired life. Listen to the Good Risings podcast on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Injured? Dial pound 250, use keyword personal injuries to connect to OPO Law.
Good morning, everyone. This is Kfi Am 640, more stimulating talk. Don't forget that you can catch KFI everywhere and anytime on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Oscar Ramirez, and I'm the host of The Daily Dive, a daily news podcast covering some of the top stories making waves in the news. You can catch a new episode of The Daily Dive Monday through Friday on iHeartRadio, and it's ready for you when you wake up. Here on The Daily Dive Weekend Edition, I'll be bringing you some of the best stories I covered during the week. One of the big stories in the COVID world this week, pharmaceutical company Merck is seeking emergency use authorization for its COVID-19 pill. If approved, it would be the first oral antiviral for COVID. Other treatments such as remdesivir or monoclonal antibody treatments both require intravenous infusion. The pill reduces risk of hospitalization by 50% and would be a very welcome new treatment on the scene. For more on this pill that directly targets the virus, we'll speak to Riley Griffin, healthcare reporter at Bloomberg News.
So Merck and its partner Ridgeback Biotherapeutics have sought an EUA, that emergency use authorization, from U.S. regulators. This is something that, based on conversations I've had with Merck, could come even before Halloween. And that is a real win for the U.S. because we've wanted for quite some time, as you've mentioned, something that is cheap, easily distributed, accessible, and one important part of this, too, is that it's easier to produce. A pill like this in capsule form is quicker to get off the supply chain than an intravenous solution. So that's a really important part of this story. This drug has been in development for years and years and years for different viral designations. And Merck ultimately found it from Ridgeback, which had licensed the compound from Emory, and countless academic institutions have worked on this drug for ages. So really exciting development here. We hope to see regulators act quickly. Anthony Fauci has said that the FDA is expected to move quite fast. And the good news here is that an interim analysis of clinical trial data found that it cut the risk of hospitalization in half for patients who are at risk of developing a severe illness that may require hospitalization.
Now, I might get this wrong. The drug is called molnupiravir, and it basically, as soon as you get diagnosed with COVID-19, this is something that they would give you. It's not necessarily a preventative, it's treatment. It attacks the virus. What kind of course of treatment and how much does this cost?
Yeah, it's a course of treatment that you take for a couple of days. So Merck has reiterated that it expects to make 10 million treatment courses or 400 million capsules before the end of 2021. We actually learned from the New York Times. Our friends over there say that this 5-day course of treatment will cost about $700 per patient, which is a third of the amount of a monoclonal antibody treatment, so to speak. So it is certainly cheaper. That's not to say it's as cheap as all kind of capsules of this class, but you're really thinking, what is the cost of hospitalization? And that is rather high. It's especially high at a time here in the U.S. where we are still seeing people unvaccinated land in the emergency room. And so, no doubt, these COVID-19 therapeutics are desperately needed here in the U.S. as we continue to see large unvaccinated populations persist, but also outside of the U.S. where we may not have seen equitable distribution of vaccines to date.
And they said that the safety profile of the pill is pretty good. There's very little side effects. So, you know, that would probably, you know, help with a lot of people, you know, curious about this type of drug. One of the things that there was a concern of, right, there's always a concern of variants, and could the virus change enough to not really make the pill that effective? That is a possibility, but thankfully what they said is that might not, that it shouldn't be too much of a concern, at least with this pill, based on how it works. Tell us how it works, because it's pretty interesting what it does. It does attack the virus directly, introducing errors into it, so it basically kills itself off almost.
You hit it. So drug resistance occurs when viruses or bacteria evolve to blunt or defeat drugs' mechanism of attack. And viruses, they are wily things. They mutate to survive. This is a constant concern for antivirals and antibiotics. And we've already seen COVID treatments like Eli and Lilly and Co.'s antibody therapy face issues with drug resistance. But as you said, Merck executives have told me that they're not too concerned about molnupiravir and drug resistance. There are a couple of reasons why they say that. One is that the course of treatment is short. That means there's less of an opportunity to evolve into resistant forms. But the more important reason lies in the drug's mechanism of action. So pioneered by these researchers at Emory University and other academic centers, molnupiravir really works by introducing error into the coronavirus's genetic material. What that means is that errors are replicated until the viruses are defunct. And in this case, the errors are actually induced more or less randomly throughout the virus. Not all of us are to think about a viral genome. Right. But that means that the virus has fewer opportunities to develop mutant forms that will overcome those errors. So it's really about that random distribution. And that in and of itself makes resistance a really tough thing, said one Merck executive.
Just to be clear, right, vaccines are still better and work well at preventing COVID. This is for somebody that has already been, who's already contracted COVID. You know, it's a treatment after the fact, but still really good. And they say that, you know, when you pair it with other types of drugs, you know, there's kind of cocktails of other things to attack the virus on all sorts of sides, you know, it works even better that way too.
Well, we haven't yet seen them combine molnupiravir with another drug like, say, Pfizer's still evolving candidate that is also an antiviral pill. We might one day see Merck create such a cocktail, but for now we're really looking at this specific molnupiravir compound and thinking through its efficacy and its safety. But yes, in general, cocktails can be more effective. They can also reduce that chance